think part of the problem with Swift's type system is that, like, most of the time, it's great. It's really easy, simple to understand. Like, a string is a string, a number is a number, or whatever. But you do get these weird cases where, like, if you're doing something like, I don't know, some functional programming where you're doing like a lazy map of something. Like, have you ever looked at those types? They're insane. Like, the type will be like some like sort of it'll be like 100 characters worth of type with like multiple nested generics in it. There's no way you're going to type that. Like, nobody would ever want to type that. Yeah, it's some solves part of that problem, but I think it only, since it's actually something I always bump into. It's like, oh, I've got this horrible type, I'll use some. Oh wait, that only works for protocols, right? Like, it only works for some protocol. It doesn't work for some like generic type. So yeah, unfortunately, it's not a complete solution. But yeah, this is the thing. Like, with strong types comes like ludicrous types, and when if you look at the actual types of Swift UI bodies with something that's got like 10 subviews in it or whatever, like, there's no possible way they can expect you to explicitly type that. Yeah, like, I'm not putting that in my code base. Like, so yeah, I don't know what the right solution is. I mean, I have some theories about it, but I mean, we could probably talk about language design forever. But I generally prefer the sort of TypeScript approach, where it's the typing is sort of optional. So like, maybe during development you just don't need the types, and then maybe at production time you put them in. Whereas Swift's approach is you always have to have the types, and it tries to make it easier by doing type inference. But you end up with the worst of both worlds in some ways, because it means you're having to think about types during your development process when you don't want to, and then also you're leaving out type information, which then has to be inferred in your like final build, which means your compiles will be forever slower just because you didn't type in the type. So I don't think it's necessarily the right trade-off the way that they've done it. I know enough about how it works to understand, like, there are good reasons why it works the way that it works, but as a development experience, it's maybe not optimal.